Are we live?
Yes, we are. Okay. So, hi everyone. Very good evening. My name is Lalita Mohan, and I'm going to be your host for today's weekly career class. We have with us today Pooja Khanduja. She's a data analytics lead from Meta, formerly named Facebook. I'm going to quickly introduce Pooja for all of our audience members today. So, Pooja is a data analytics professional with experience in digital marketing, operations, finance, and edtech domains. She graduated with B.Tech in computer science from Maharaja Agrasen Institute of Technology in 2014. Previously, she has worked in Chegg and United Airlines and also at NatWest Group. Before we start with this session, Pooja, do you want to add something to this?
No, I think you covered it all. Just excited to speak to everyone.
Super. So for all of our audience members today, just one note for all of y'all is that we can have a quick question and answer session at the end of this discussion. And feel free to keep posting your queries on chat and we'll have it answered in the end. Pooja, can we start?
Sure.
Yeah. So we have a set of questions for you, and we've designed it in such a way so that most of the queries students have related to this particular field of data analytics can be answered through these questions as well. So, starting with the most basic question first, which is we'd love to know about your journey, right from grade 12 to now. How that has been for you?
Sure, definitely. So, grade after grade 10th, like I just chose science as like my majors in 11th and 12th. After graduating from 12th, I took admission in Maharaja Institute of Technology in computer science engineering course. There we learned like all the coding languages and everything. But like database management and databases like was one subject which kept coming up starting I think third or fourth semester. In each semester it kept getting a little bit more advanced. After I started my first job at RBS or NatWest Markets as they call it, I was basically placed as part of a freshers batch where we chose our own teams and we were placed in different teams for 6 months each, and then we chose what we liked at the end of 2 years. So there I was put as part of a data analytics team, and I was immediately hooked to this like kind of concept and this area of work. Basically, what it meant was like in terms of banking, there is a lot of data like customer data, trading data, and all of that is stored in tables. We used to analyze that. We used to create reports out of that for our senior stakeholders so that they could derive insights from that. So that was my role. And that was like I spent 3 years at RBS. Then I moved to United Airlines, which was again like very interesting stint in my career. Again, I spent 3 years there serving two teams. One was operations and second was digital marketing. Both areas like, so I did analytics for all of these groups, first finance, then operations, then marketing. And it gave me like a very holistic picture of like businesses that are run and how businesses are run. But my core skill set or like work I was doing was always in analytics through these roles. Then I moved to Chegg for a small period of time, which was a edtech startup. So I think students must have heard of Chegg if they are listening to going on Google to get their questions answered or looking for books and everything. So that was Chegg all about. And then I think 8 months ago, I moved into Meta. Here, I'm serving WhatsApp payments for now. So basically the WhatsApp payments domain. I am servicing the strategy, ops, and analytics for this domain. So hopefully the payments domain picks up soon, and I'll like my workload would increase here.
Wow. So that's been a very dynamic,
Yes.
role
Yeah.
from where you started and where you are right now.
Yeah.
Sounds very
In a way,
exciting.
yeah, in a way, it's a full circle because fintech was RBS and then WhatsApp payments is again fintech. So
Right.
it's a full circle.
Exactly. Super. So, during your graduation, is there any preferred subject that you think is advantageous for roles like this in the field of data analytics?
For sure. I think in graduation, and not only like data analytics, if you're looking for in general like jobs after computer science or like engineering, or just even if you're doing like other forms of engineering, other forms of graduation such as BSc computers or BSc mathematics,
Hmm.
generally I think the focus should be on coding languages. So Python is there, C++, Java is there, and then SQL is taught in computer science specializations. So
Hmm.
SQL is one skill that you cannot do without in data analytics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one question that comes to my mind, because these days there's a lot of demand, I would say, or hype about roles in analytics, right? But I want to clear this doubt myself also. Like, what is the difference between business intelligence, business analyst, data analyst, and data science?
Sure.
And also, one more thing, which is machine learning engineering roles, right? So, what are the difference between all of these?
Sure. So let's take a step back. Let's understand first what is analytics and what are these data jobs. Then we'll go into each of these fields and I'll clarify the definitions and the type of work that is involved in each of these. So imagine like you're going to a departmental store. These days they have the superstores which have like everything.
Right.
After you have collected your groceries for a week or for a month, you go to the like counter where you are like purchasing it or paying the bill for it. They
Hmm.
enter each and every item, they enter the discount that was given to you, they
Hmm.
enter the amount finally what was paid against each amount and what was the total amount paid by you. Then they take your number and they input those details in their database, right? Database is just a collection where they store all the data, right?
Right.
Now imagine like thousands of customers are coming onto these stores each day. There are
Hmm.
multiple store branches that are prevailing. Let's say take an example of more mega store or any D-Mart stores if you're in South India or
Hmm.
whatever. So
Right.
there are like thousands of like millions of dollars of sales that happens like every day. Now this data gets stored somewhere. The way to retrieve those, the way to basically answer questions around business is called analytics, right? Now
Hmm.
imagine you are the boss of DMart and you want to know how much sales is happening in each of your stores. This data will come from those bills that are being taken, right?
Right.
And imagine now you want to say your what is your top sales item that is being sold.
Hmm.
Imagine like you want to place items in your store in such a way that you want to keep highest selling items on the top. All
Hmm.
this insight generation and sort of like business understanding is called as analytics, right? Now this process of storing data into tables then retrieving data is called database management. Within this database management, then there are multiple fields that have sprung up because there is so much huge amounts of data to deal with, right? Like just take it on a pan India level, how DMart is operating its analytics. There'll be hundreds of analysts sitting.
Hmm.
So
Right.
within those analytics jobs, there are like 4 or 5 fields. One is business intelligence. This is nothing like it's kind of a short form for reporting, right? So basically what it happens is like you have data, you generate weekly reports, like the top questions always need to be answered, such as like sales that are happening, such as top items, such as which items are not doing well, how is your inventory, what items do you need to, sorry, just 1 second. What items do you need to add in your inventory and all those questions. So
Hmm.
all these questions are stored in tables. The people who generate reports out of these regular reports, and these are on reporting tools, this is called as BI jobs. Typically in the market there are multiple tools, multiple reporting tools, and you if you learn like one or two, it's very easy to scale to other tools, so to
Okay.
speak. So
Hmm.
that is called BI. Second is data analytics. The people or the teams who generate insights out of those on an ad hoc basis, who know like what questions need to be answered by the business, they are called data analytics people, and normally the teams are called data analytics.
Hmm.
Then we have data science roles, and lastly we'll come to machine learning engineering. Data science is now predicting in the future what to do basically with the business.
Okay.
Both of these like BI and data analytics are more prescriptive in telling like descriptive in telling what is the business currently doing. To
Okay.
move further ahead in forecasting, like how to plan for 1 year in advance.
Hmm.
That is called data science, basically, where a lot of like modeling takes place and a lot of like mathematics comes in place to predict how will the business do. There are
Hmm.
a lot of factors that are considered, and it's more nuanced and very developed sort of form of analytics. And
Right.
then these days, like especially in companies like Meta, Google, like there is a field known as machine learning engineering, which
Hmm.
is combining the data science with the engineering side of the world. And this is the most hyped job in the market today, which
Okay.
is like predicting but also writing algorithms like recommendations. Like
Hmm.
all of us are on Netflix today, so
Right.
the type of shows that we watch, it keeps like starts recommending to us like
Hmm. Hmm.
future like types of shows we might like, or YouTube starts recommending us songs that we like, Instagram starts showing us reels that we have seen. So
Hmm.
all these are recommendation algorithms, and everything are built by people who are called as machine learning engineers.
Okay.
So
Great. Thank
that's
you.
the total like breadth of
Hmm.
analytics roles that exist in the market today.
Wow, super. So I never knew like there were so many things, and I didn't also know that machine learning engineering is something that is cropped up very recently. So that was interesting. Another thing that I'm sure students also might have such queries, which is what is the use, how it is exactly used, that is analytics in different functions. So you yourself mentioned that you were working as a data analytics, not just in digital marketing, but also in operations, finance, and I'm sure even in edtechs, right? So how do you use this in various functions?
Sure. I gave one example of like a retail store, which might be using analytics in the way that I told you, the top questions that will be that the bosses want to answer.
Hmm.
I'll give like maybe two or three more examples of how each of how basically analytics use cases that each of the industry uses. So I'll start with marketing, digital marketing.
Hmm.
Now, like uh, you know that advertising has shifted to digital advertising in huge ways in the last 10 years. It's a $5 billion opportunity that all of these big companies are having. Like you see now ads on Google, ads on Facebook, and ads on like Amazon, and businesses are literally run by digital advertising. So all that advertising and the campaigning that is done, some teams need to sit there and analyze that and conceptualize that, right? So inside generation, let's say when I was in United Airlines, we
Hmm.
used to run a host of campaigns, a host of sales for like our customers in the US, across the world, to avail certain discounts, to show them certain ads, to like sell routes which are not usually selling. So all that was happening through like ads. We were the team that was analyzing those ads. Basically, how well are the ads doing? How
Hmm.
much credit to take for the bookings that are being made on United Airlines? So, such cases we used to analyze. We used to run campaigns on Google and Facebook and see how well are they doing across like basically over a period of time.
Hmm.
We partnered with a lot of other companies that gave us some data, and we took that data, we input it in our systems, and we finally then like basically the aim is always to grow business. But to grow business you need to answer certain questions. We were the team that answered those questions for the marketing or the digital marketing folks. Then during when COVID hit, we
Hmm.
did not have a lot of money, like as because the travel industry just shrunk. So
Right.
what we did was we used a lot of in-house data and analytics to
Hmm.
still keep getting customers to our platform to book tickets even for the future. So to
Okay.
define campaigns, let's say we defined like if you buy today, 6 months in advance you'll get this much price. So
Hmm.
those kind of campaigns we devised based on the analytics and the data that we were seeing. So that was the modeling that we did. That is use case number one in airlines.
Right.
Second, I can give you a use case that I've like maybe I've done in Facebook, which is like WhatsApp payments.
Hmm.
So WhatsApp payments again has millions of customers. WhatsApp in total, like it's the largest messaging app of the world. It has a lot of like hundreds of millions of customers on it as its user base, but a small percentage of it is payments,
Hmm.
right? Payments ideally wants to grow at the WhatsApp level, that you like essentially acquiring all the customer base. Again, there is within those millions of customers, how do we give incentives, basically cashback? So now you use Google Pay or Paytm, it
Right.
gives you certain sort of cashbacks on your
Mhm.
transactions.
Yes.
All that, and then there is a lot of analytics that goes behind it to devise those campaigns. To think that if we spend, let's say, $5 million, how much customers will we get? If we spend like, and how, what kind of customers do we get? Are they transacting with us again? Do we give them more features such as bill payments, such as recharges? How, what should we do basically with the business that is growing? So that, like, basically is another use case that is there in the WhatsApp payments domain in analytics.
Hmm. Great. So, what about the tools and technologies that are used for these roles?
Sure. General set of tools used across the market, like as I mentioned in the beginning, SQL is one of them. It's also called as SQL. Some people call it structured query language. This
Hmm.
is the language that is used to query data from the tables. It's some set of commands that you need to learn, very simple but very, very effective. So that is one. Second is Python, which is now Python or R, which is increasingly being used these days. These are like coding languages, but used for the same purposes of automation, of extracting data, manipulating data, and as such. Mm, I think students in the school also learn like Microsoft Excel and Microsoft PowerPoint.
Right.
Those are the two tools which you cannot again do without in data analytics.
Hmm.
A lot of analysis we actually end up doing in Excels. We learn advanced Excel to manipulate data, to put formulas in the Excel, and then finally to present to our stakeholders. We still to this day use PowerPoint. So those are two skills. Like, so these five skills you definitely need to learn. Apart from that, then like if you want to go into BI, then you need to know reporting tools such as Tableau or Power BI or Spotfire. If you
Hmm.
want to go more in machine learning, then you need advanced Python, advanced R, SAS, and all those technologies. But the general set would be SQL, Python, Excel, and PowerPoint. And if you have mastered these four, you can be a good data analyst.
Okay. So, what would be the best resource for SQL?
Sure. I learned SQL during the job only. So
Hmm.
most of the things were taught to me in my jobs, but then to crack interviews and just to master SQL, I would say one should start with W3 schools, which is, I think it's a free site, w3schools.org. It's the best tool for SQL, JavaScript. Like if you want to learn step by step the basics of each command, you should start with that. Once you are good with definitions of the commands, you have done a little hands-on, then you can move towards the second and a little intermediate source of basically study, which is called SQLZoo.net. This is again, this is free of cost for people, for everyone to use. It has also like command by command programming practice that you can do on top of it. It
Hmm.
also gives you a solution if you are stuck. You can also Google if you are stuck on any solution, and if you're not able to understand, you will find discussion groups around that. So SQLZoo.net is the second resource that people should use. And the third resource which people should use to master, and I know there might be a ton of users, a ton of tools that resources that people can use, but the third which I like, which is again free of cost, is the HackerRank tool. HackerRank is again a website. You can just register yourself. There'll be a set of questions where you can do actual programming. So it's easy, medium, and difficult.
Hmm.
Across topics, you can practice. They'll give you an actual coding interface where you can write code, run code, and like submit it. And it will also give you like a certification if you've completed certain level of like, let's say if you've completed easy, so it'll give you a certification. If you've completed medium, it'll give you another. And
Hmm.
it's like starts from very simple, but it goes up to like very advanced level of SQL. So definitely one should practice from HackerRank. A lot of companies also partner with HackerRank to conduct their SQL interviews. So it's like it knows actually what the companies are also asking. So
Right.
that is the third skill.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Third
how
resource.
about R and Python? I remember you mentioning about these
Yeah.
also. So, is it important to know both? And what would also be the best resource to learn R, Python, or SAS?
Sure. So honestly, I have learned SAS. I think I did some course in back in 2015, which I don't even remember now.
Hmm.
So SAS, I don't know. R and Python, I've done fair chunk of it. But to answer your question on whether it's important to know both, I would say
Hmm.
no. You
Okay.
can do with one only. Like I have never seen a use case that cannot be answered with like whatever can be answered with R can be answered with Python. The only thing where like one language might be a preference is if a person is joining a company and the team is using R, so then you need to kind of just to adjust to that ecosystem, you also
Hmm.
might want to use R. But
Yes.
I have known Python since 5 years and I've always used Python only.
Hmm.
The best resources for Python are is like I did some Coursera courses. So there are like by foreign universities courses that you can do on Coursera or Udemy. I did on Coursera. On Coursera, you can also audit the courses and see what type of course you are familiar with. Once you are liking the course, you can purchase it for a certification. So I did the University of Michigan course for Python. And
Hmm.
for R, I think I did some course by Andrew Ng, who's the founder of Coursera also.
Okay.
He has a machine learning course also. So I
Hmm.
did this course, but the most important learning is just hands-on. So on Kaggle and like you can like actually pick projects that you can solve in these languages. And
Hmm.
that is when any concept sticks with you. If you keep learning theory, it's like like what happens in school also. If we don't get to apply what we learn, we just lose track of it and we forget it. So it's very important to apply what you are learning in some project, some hands-on project. So while choosing a course, you should see whether a hands-on project is there at the end of it or not.
Okay.
So that should be the selection criteria.
Okay. Understood.
Yeah.
And how important is stats for data analyst roles? And
Stat,
if
you mean
there are
statistics?
any, yes, and if there are any good resources for that.
Sure. Just one second. So statistics is again very important. All the things that I told you about, like again, I always start with the example of departmental store because it's very easy to visualize.
Right, right.
So within those departmental store, you can answer easy questions with basic mathematics like sum of sales or average sales that is being
Mhm.
made from each store, how much salary is being given to employees, how much salary is being given to managers, and etc. Easy questions can be answered with SQL and maths.
Mhm.
But to go a little bit more advanced, as to let's say we want to compare sales of two items over 3 months, we are making some changes and all of that. That is where stats comes in. So
Okay.
stats is a good tool to have at the back of your pocket if you are
Mhm.
wanting to do data analytics. Stats, I think we should always start with class 11, class 12 mathematics, where like probability was told to us, permutation combination was told to us, and like some basic like trigonometry and all of that comes in place.
Mhm.
But the best tool these days in the market, which is again free of cost, is the Khan Academy Stats course. It
Okay.
takes you step by step as to like what are the definitions of each of the things, how do you get to apply it, and obviously like there are some key concepts that they cover that every interviewer asks if they begin to interview on stats. So definitely I won't say it's a must have. I would say it's an like on the job training also it can happen for stats, but definitely some key concepts such as probability, t-test, p-tests, like there these are like 4 or 5 things that you should know if you are wanting to go into data analytics. So Khan Academy is a good tool to review and research.
Okay. And how about dashboards? And what are their use exactly in this role?
Sure.
And what are the tools for same, for the same?
Sure. So dashboards comes in that space which I called as BI space or business intelligence,
Hmm.
where you create reports for your senior stakeholders, for your teams, right? So another name for reports is called dashboard, right?
Hmm.
Now, if you have hundreds of rows in your Excel, or let's say million rows in your Excel, nobody likes to see those, like especially at senior levels, nobody has time and energy to analyze those Excels, right?
Hmm.
So you
Right.
need some creative ways to represent data. So now if I want to, let's say again going departmental store, very basic, if I want to show month on month sales starting January till October,
Hmm.
what will be better, an Excel with like millions of rows of each of the sale, simplified Excel, which is showing month on month sale,
Hmm.
or an interactive visualization like a bar graph, which shows like month-on-month sales and how it has changed, right? Obviously, a bar graph is much more representative. Similarly, if you want to show share of sales, let's
Hmm.
say in different products, a pie chart is the best representation to show that, right? So combination of these like interactive visualizations make up a dashboard or a report, right? We answer the top questions that the business wants to know with the help of dashboards, and it's very important to know if you are wanting to go into the BI space, right? Because ultimately we are doing all analytics to help grow business. Reporting is one key part of it, which helps like rhythm of business things, basically
Hmm.
how the business is going on a monthly, weekly basis. So we generate those reports, then we automate those reports, which again comes into this role.
Hmm.
The tools and technologies that are used, I mentioned some of it, which is Tableau. So Tableau is the most extensively used tool in the market, but there are a lot more others. So one is TIBCO Spotfire, one is Power BI, one is Google Data Studio, which is now picking a lot of pace. Facebook has its own tool, so we use Unidash. So all of these tools, like if you just know one or two, you can easily scale your knowledge in other tools.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super. So anything else that you would want to add from your end before we take up the audience questions?
Sure. If you like just some tips and tricks if you are in school, and then some tricks and tips if you're in college, and then
Hmm.
some like basically tips if you are looking for a job in data analytics. So if you are in school, I think starting 11th class, there is a subject called SQL. Uh,
Hmm.
People should invest time in it. Sometimes, like while you are opting for engineering, there becomes a conflict of interest to focus on your physics, chemistry, math subjects, or to focus on your computers or SQL subject. So definitely like within your SQL, you should spend time on like within your C++ course, you should spend time on SQL. Uh, it'll cover like basic concepts within 11th and 12th, but once you know it, it becomes easier to adopt in college. So that is one tip for people in 11th
Okay.
and 12th. If you
Hmm.
are in college, definitely focus more on Python. When I was doing my engineering, Python was not included in my curriculum, but these days, like maybe 2 3 years ago, like Python has been added to all curriculums because it is the most extensively used language.
Hmm.
So people should focus on Python and again SQL if the course is there. People can always master these tools from the online tools that I just mentioned. These are free of cost, and people should invest time in it. If you are in college and if you have some time, do hands-on projects, build your GitHub repositories, build your Kaggle things so that you can show your credentials. Now, if
Hmm.
hundreds and lakhs of students are passing every year from B.Tech, so the way to distinguish you is your hands-on knowledge, because theoretical knowledge anyone can show. So that is one tip for people in colleges. For people who are actually doing jobs and searching for data analytics courses, I
Hmm.
would say we should try some case studies, some actual, like basically some YouTube videos are there which show you like end to end how to solve a guesstimate question, how to solve puzzles, and how to like solve basically an entire data analytics project, so to say. So we should spend time on that. We should also spend our time summarizing our projects in such a way that the impact is there for each project that we are doing. Now, let's say I'm doing hundreds of reports in my entire year.
Hmm.
During interviews, nobody wants to know those 100 things. People want to know one or two best things. So
Right.
people should know how to summarize and how to basically represent their skill set,
Hmm.
yet keeping it very simple. So that is one tip for people in interviews, and especially taking data analytics interviews.
Great. Thank you. That was very helpful. I'll quickly take up a few audience questions. So one
Sure.
that catches my eye, which is, do these jobs typically involve critical thinking, or how challenging is it on a daily basis?
Sure. I would say it's very seasonal. So, simply speaking, the short answer is that definitely involves a lot of analytical and critical thinking.
Hmm.
Like any problem that is given to you, it's as haphazard as it can be. Like sometimes the business owners also don't know what they want, right? They just want to know how to grow the business. They will ask you some questions, But as a data analyst, you are digging deep into the data. you
Hmm.
you have the ability or the capability to find 10 more things that are important for that business. So it is your onus to then do your job correctly and find those insights, report it in a manner that is consumable. I would say once you have got the hang of technologies and you know how to break a problem into like a structured approach, it's not challenging. In fact, it's very, very interesting. So definitely, like if people have been good at mathematics and people like who like analytical thinking, definitely should explore this career line.
Okay. And another one that we have is, how is the work environment of a data science analyst or a data scientist? Is it about sitting in front of a computer most of the time?
I would say yes. So because we are doing a lot of things in data tables that that exist in online databases only. So it's 80% of the job is kind of sitting in front of a computer. These days with virtual work from home environments, it's even more.
Right.
But then like I think 20 to 30% of good chunk of time is spent in summarizing, preparing summary decks for our stakeholders,
Hmm.
representing the story to our stakeholders and all of that, which is again like my favorite part of the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these were the questions from our audience. I would thank you on their behalf. And I personally felt this was a very informative session. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
And
Lalita. Yeah. Good
lovely
to see.
hosting
Very
on our platform.
Yeah, very nice speaking to you. And I hope I was able to answer some of the questions for the audience, and hopefully they get more like light on whether to choose this line or not. And if they want to choose this line, then some resources that can help them. So very nice speaking to you and happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali. Happy Diwali, everyone. Thank you so much
Yeah.
once again.
Thanks. See you. Bye.
Bye. See you.